Guys, welcome to today's video. This is a new year, so today we are playing with some new makeup and I'm obviously super excited about it because a lot of this is like new. I actually have a ton of new makeup that you guys are going to be seeing me post videos on throughout this week. So we're starting off with some good stuff today, and whatever I wasn't able to cover today we will see later on in my channel in the near future. So one of the things that I am going to be showing you guys today and demoing and then sharing my review on is the new foundation from Gucci. I've actually had this for quite some time, so today is not a first impressions on this. I will be sharing my full thoughts towards the end of today's video because I am doing somewhat of a wear test today. I also have some new products from NARS. They've recently released some new goodies and I got my hands on some of them and I'm oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm obviously wearing this makeup already, so this is a little sneak peek of what's coming. And I'm also today using for the first time one of the Dior quints in the shade Plum Tulle. Yeah. And let me just show you guys the inside, why not? So we'll be playing with this today as well. So if you guys want to see how all of these products perform and everything I use to create today's look, keep on watching. And then later today we will regroup so I can share with you guys more details on the new products and then give you my review. I'm going to start off by priming my face. Today I'm using this one from Tatcha. I haven't used this one in a while. This is the Silk Canvas, so I picked up a little bit. Now I'm just going to go ahead and push it into my skin to make sure it fills in the pores. I do need a mirror for this. I do prefer the liquid primer a lot more than the solid form one, but that one's upstairs, so I'll just use this today. And just a little bit. I don't apply too much. I don't feel that I need it everywhere. Like I said, only really where I have larger pores to fill them in a bit. So now let's go ahead and get into the foundation. So this is very exciting. I had no idea that Gucci was going to be releasing a foundation until it became available, which for somebody like me that's very impatient, it totally worked out. So this is called the Fluid Debut Finir Naturel, which translates into Natural Finish Fluid Foundation. So this actually comes in 40 shades, which Gucci did an amazing job with. The shade I purchased is 2500. So this is described as a fair medium. And it does work pretty well for me. I guess if I can kind of go back in time, I would go with a shade a little bit deeper, but I can make this work. So fortunately, it's not that bad. So let me just read a quick description on this foundation. It is developed to be comfortable, lightweight, and completely buildable. The beautifying formula can be adorned as a barely there or for a subtle full coverage look. It says to prime with their primer that they also released for an enhanced glow effect. I did not pick up the primer because I know Gucci products are scented. So I was a little bit afraid that this was going to break me out because some scented products do, others don't. So it's really hard to tell until I try them out for myself. So I decided to skip out on that primer and just try out the foundation and see how this works for me. And I have been using this for quite some time and luckily it has not broken me out. So I don't really know if I'm still interested in the primer, but I can at least consider it if I do decide to pick it up at some point. So I'm going to use a few pumps of this. It is a pretty nice consistency. It's not too thick, but it's not super liquidy. As you can see there, it is running down my hand. So I do like these type of foundations that don't just kind of stay in place when I pump some out. So today I'm going to use my beauty blender to apply this and we'll go ahead and apply. And for reference, my skin type is combination. I have an oily T-zone. I have a lot of dryness throughout my cheeks. I'm also acne prone and I have very sensitive skin. So here's a full layer of that foundation using 2 pumps. If I want to cover all of my face and still maintain lighter coverage, I do find, especially if I'm using a sponge, that I do need 2 pumps of that foundation for everything. As you can see right now, you can still see a lot of my redness, a lot of my hyperpigmentation. So all of that is still showing. So the first claim of this working as a light coverage foundation, I do see that it's true. If I did have more of an even complexion, I think 2 pumps would be sufficient, again, when using a sponge. I think I use about 2.5 when using a brush, and I'm able to get the coverage that I need, but it always ends up a little bit more sheer when I do use a beauty blender. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a little bit more. Let's just do another full pump and see what happens with this. So I'm going to try to focus most of this on the areas that do need more coverage, so we can see later on how this wears throughout the day. Alright, so more than 2 layers, I will not build this up because it does then start to look a lot more heavy. I do find that once I do build this up a little bit, it doesn't look as natural as when I just use one light layer, which it does sound like that makes sense. The more you add, the more visible it's going to be. There are those some foundations that don't quite do that. This one does, but not to an extreme where I feel uncomfortable wearing this as my foundation. You just can tell a little bit more. It does look a little bit more makeup-y than other foundations that I do own. So something I do want to point out is that overall it did a pretty good job at covering up a lot of what I do need to cover up, but there are some areas still peeking through. That's just something that I'm gonna have to go in with my concealer to correct, not so much count on a foundation, because a foundation is only going to give you so much coverage. So whatever you need beyond that, it's probably better to rely on a concealer. So that's what we're going to do, but I am going to scoot you guys in a little bit because I do want to show you how my left cheek is looking. This is the cheek that for some reason experiences a lot more breakouts, so it is a lot more drier than my right cheek, and I want to show you how this looks initially after I apply this foundation. Alright, so I hope this is close enough and you guys are able to detect. There is a little bit of separation where I do have the blemishes, and it's actually really looking a lot better, but I think it happens more when I use a brush, that you're able to detect all the dryness that I have on my cheeks when I first apply it, but once I'm done with all of my makeup, it looks really nice on my skin. It starts to work really well with all the other products that I apply. Today we're using a lot of new stuff, so we'll see how all of this works together. But this is already actually looking a lot smoother than how it typically does when I first apply it. So I think it has to do with the sponge, but either way, the way it enhances all the dry patches that I have never really ends up being an issue. So again, we'll scoot you guys in once I'm done with all of the makeup. I don't have a new concealer, so I'm gonna go in with my reliable Makeup Forever Matte Velvet Skin Concealer. I'm using the shade 3.4. I real quickly ran through my eyebrows using the Gucci Powder Eyebrow Pencil. I use the shade 04. So I always set my T-zone no matter what, so today's not going to be any different. So I decided to pull out my Gucci setting powder. So this is a pressed powder. It's called the Poudre de Butte, and I use the shade 5. Now this is a little bit too deep for me. I do wish I had purchased a lighter shade in this, but I do feel like it balances out pretty well with the foundation, since this is just a tad bit too light, this is a tad bit too dark, so put together, perfect match for me. So I'm only going to do the T-zone today because I do have an oily T-zone and I've just gotten into the habit of setting it all the time. So using a brush, because I don't want to do anything too heavy, you know what, the bad thing about this powder that really grinds my gears is that it keeps forming hard pan, and like I can't pick up any product really. So let me try to fix that and then I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back in business. I'll pick up a little bit of this with my brush and then just add it to set. Alright, so for bronzer, I figured why not? Let's use my Gucci bronzer. This I really, really like. The shade that I have is 2, and I love this because it is a very soft, just like natural looking bronzer. This shade works pretty nicely for me. I don't think I've used it with this brush, and I feel like I just picked up a ton. Today we won't use any highlighter just because sometimes certain foundations do end up giving this really nice like dewiness after wearing it for a while. So if that is going to be the case with this foundation, I want you guys to get to see what part of it does come from the foundation and not get it confused with the actual highlight. So we'll skip on that step today, which is fine. I find that I'm not as much into highlights as I used to be. Isn't this such a beautiful bronzer? I think so. This is the Sonia G Master Face Brush. This is such a great combo. They work so well together. So I'm assessing my skin before I move forward, and I'm really liking how my makeup is looking right now. Like really, truly enjoying this. So hopefully these other products that we use are also really great. All right, so this is from NARS. They've released some new blushes as well as some new lip products. I do have a few of those lip products to share with you guys today, so we will look at those in a bit. But for now, let's focus on their new blush. So these are called the Air Matte blushes. They come in 8 different shades. The one I picked up is Freedom. I believe this was described as a mauve shade. And this is how the inside of this looks. I'm super excited about it. It says it is a unique mousse blush that transforms into a velvet powder for a weightless, cloud-like wash of cheek color. So I had read online that the way to use these are with your finger or with a brush. I was contemplating using my finger, but there's just something about digging my finger in here that I don't want to do. So we're going to use this little brush I have from Chantecaille. This is actually a foundation or mask brush. Today we're going to use it for blush. So I'll go ahead and just dip straight in here. It was a kind of a weird dip. Let me try to hold it this way. Well, it looks kind of cool in the pan with the brush. Can you guys see that? Looks really interesting. It does look very moussey like there. So let's see how this applies. Now I'm wondering if maybe I picked up too much. I don't know. Okay, let's play it safe and apply some in the back of my hand here. Okay, it's not gonna be too bad. So I'm gonna start back here. Yeah, and upon applying it, I can see that it is kind of like that moussey texture, but it's blending very nicely. Ooh, I'm very happy with the shade I picked as well. There were a few that I wanted, but I was like, let me just get one. What if I don't like this? Well, that's really pretty, and it feels really nice. Right now to the touch, it feels a little bit creamy, but not too much. You can tell that it's getting kind of powdery like. Let's pick up a little bit more. And I like that these are pigmented, but not overly so where it becomes difficult to work with. I wonder, let me see, let me go in with my sponge. I did powder a little bit over here because I do set my concealer and it doesn't seem to be picking anything up there. Let's even this out. Other things that NARS does say about this blush online is that the Color Diffusion Complex beautifully blends and blurs for a second skin color that lasts, while jojoba gel smooths pigments evenly over skin, and passion fruit oil adds a boost of antioxidants. A hush of color, plush to the touch, a rush for the senses. So yeah, I mean, we will see if this is long lasting, but as far as formula wise, color wise, blendability wise, everything is an A+++ for now. So we'll see how this continues to wear. All right, so yay, I was so excited to try out these new blushes, and it does make my cheeks look very nice and healthy. I really like the pigment that it's giving my cheeks. It's a nice flush of color, and the shade I think is also perfect for the winter time. They have some pretty interesting shades, so I might pick up another. All right, so let's move on to eyes, and then we finish off with lips as I usually do. So I'm going to go ahead and prime my eyes with my usual primer. This is from Fenty. And we'll just go straight in. I do have a new eyeshadow to share with you guys today. This is a new one to me from Dior. These are one of their quints that they've released. I've at this point collected them all, but there are a few that I still have not tried out. So this is definitely one of them. This shade is 159 Plum Tulle. So it has a different shades of like purple. So this is how these shades look. I think they're so stunning. I mean, I am just obsessed with all of these quints from Dior that I've tried. Let me actually go ahead and swatch these because I have not even touched this palette yet. So let's do a quick little swatcheroo. Wow, these swatches are stunning. I love that none of these shades are like one of the glittery formulas. That formula is my least favorite one from these quints just because I'm not that much of a glitter or topper type of person. But overall they're pretty, but I'm happy to say that most of these are satin finishes with the exception of perhaps this darker shade here, which is more of a matte. But even this, it's not like your typical matte shade. It's kind of creamy. It's almost like a satin matte. Wow, so gorgeous. Really, really digging this shade here. That palette is beautiful, beautiful. Loved it. Not at all surprised with how well those eyeshadows performed and blended. Oh my gosh. I'm telling you guys, these Dior palettes are so beautiful. If you guys have any, let me know which are your favorite. Like I said, I still have a few more I have to show you guys within my channel, so at some point I will introduce those to you guys. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and apply a little bit of eyeliner and some mascara. For my eyeliner, I'm going to use my Tom Ford Stylo pen, and then for mascara, I am going to layer these two. I'm going to use the Chantecaille first and then go in with the Volume de Chanel. So let me do that real quick and then we will be right back to finish off with the lips. Okay, all done with that, so now on to lipstick. So I have two of the new NARS Air Matte Lip Color lipsticks. These shades I picked up are Thrust and Shag. Let me read to you guys a little description on these products. It says it is an innovative new formula that glides seamlessly onto skin for airy, long wear matte lip color with a comfortable feel. It does also say here it is a limited edition, which I do find a little bit weird. I am counting there are 10 shades. All right, so let's go ahead and try these on and see how they look on my lips. I'm not sure which shade will look better with, okay, probably not this one, with today's makeup. All right, so we have these two shades. This one's Shag, this one's Thrust. Shag might look a little bit better with today's look since it is more of a pink shade. So I'll go ahead and try on Thrust first. So this is how it looks. The actual applicator is almost the same texture as like their famous rubbery black packaging. I really, really like the feeling of this. So this actually feels just about the same. And this is how the doe foot, let me clean this up a little so you guys can see how the doe foot applicator is shaped. That is a very lovely color. The doe foot applicator, I guess you can pick and choose how you want to use this. I started off using the more narrow side and it applied the pigment fine, but I found that it was easier to just lay it to its side to cover more for my lips. And then you can always use the tip to go around the edges. Okay, it does feel very comfortable. I don't know if this fully dries down into a matte. I don't think it would, but I'll let you guys know when I come back later on to give you guys an update. But this looks really good. I really, really, really like that. Love the shade. Okay, very happy with that. Let me remove this real quick and then we'll go in with the next shade. This next color is Shag. Another really, really pretty shade. The only thing with this one that I did not find to be the case with Thrust is that Shag was causing a lot of streakness, so I would have to go back and fix that. I did want to point that out. So with this one, it takes a little bit more effort to get a nice opaque, even look to your lips, but with this other shade, I had no issues at all. So just letting you guys know, but yeah, the formula feels really, really nice on these, and I like the opacity that it does give my lips. I really like how comfortable it is. Like, it does feel a little bit kind of a moussey on the lips, but not in a thick way. All right, so far I am a fan of these. All right, so let's take off these little clips. I hate when I clip my hair now with my bangs, because to fix my bangs after clipping them like that, like it's nearly impossible. Ugh. Alright, so this is how today's hair is gonna look like. I'm not convinced with it, but I can't do anything else. So okay, let's bring you guys closer in so you can see how the makeup is looking up close. I will say though, hold on, let me look at myself first. I love this. I am having such a good makeup day today. Well, that's what I think. So you guys tell me now that I scoot you guys in some more. Okay, so hopefully y'all can see now how beautiful my cheeks look. They look very healthy. You can obviously tell that I do have on some foundation, but I don't think it looks heavy. It's just not as, I guess, natural looking as one would maybe want, but considering the coverage that I was able to build up on, I don't think it looks bad at all. Like, I am not at all complaining about it. I like how smooth, I mean, granted, I do have a lot of texture, so that I'm not going to be able to hide, but it still looks pretty smooth beyond that. And I really like how everything is looking on my skin right now. Very happy with this eyeshadow palette. The blush looks nice. The lipstick so far, very, very nice. So far I am very happy with how we're doing here. Alright, so I do have quite a few things to get done today, so I'm going to be a little bit productive, and I will be back later today to show you guys how my makeup is looking. I don't know how long I'll be wearing this for because I did start filming kind of late, so we will see what happens with that. But either way, I will see you guys a little later to show you how everything has kept up and give you guys my review. It's going to be a full review on the foundation. Everything that's a first impressions is going to be a first impressions type of review. So do take those type of reviews or opinions that I have to share on these specific products with a grain of salt, because sometimes I do need to test out things a little bit more to get a better feel. So that's why I do want to wear this stuff for a while today to at least gather some better thoughts on these products. So I will see you guys later. Alright guys, we're back. It has been just over 6 hours and this is how we're looking. So let's go you guys in some more so that you can really get a close look at what I'm seeing. Now I have not touched up at all. I have not touched my face whatsoever. So this is pretty typical as to how my makeup will look 6 hours in, usually 3 to 4 hours after applying my makeup. I do have to touch up by blotting around my nose typically, because that is the first thing to get oily. So this foundation is absolutely no exception to that, as you guys can see. I do plan on blotting in a little bit so you guys can see how or if I can continue wearing this foundation. But overall, I can't complain about how this looks. There is no grabbing onto any of my dry patches. There's no separation going on. I didn't lose any coverage really, so I do feel like this foundation wears really well, at least for me. I'm really happy with how this is looking. So before I scoot you guys back out and blot and then give you guys my full review on all of that, I do want you guys to, if you want to take a look at my eye makeup, still looks really good. You can still see the blush on. The lipstick is completely gone, but everything else I applied I feel like has stayed true to how it originally applied earlier today and still looks really, really good. So I have no real complaints about this. I can't complain about my oily T-zone. This is my skin type reacting the way it would react with pretty much any foundation. So like I said, I am going to go ahead and blot, and then we'll come back to show you how everything's looking, and I'll be sharing my review in just a minute. Okay, I just blotted my T-zone, and I am noticing now that there's a little bit of wear here on my chin. I did edit for a little bit, so I can't remember if I was resting my hand on my chin. I'm constantly doing that, so I can't recall if I did do that or not, but this does remind me that when I did test out this foundation while using a face mask, the makeup around my chin did wear off fairly quickly. So if you are planning on using this foundation and then wearing a mask for a long period of time, then just know there is a pretty good chance that your makeup will wear off a little bit. But besides that, I think it looks pretty good. I don't know, you guys tell me what you think. So I have nothing but good things to say about this foundation. I think it is beautiful. I'm really happy with it. I was a little concerned at first, like I had mentioned much earlier. I knew this was going to be scented. Gucci products usually are. I don't own a lot from the brand, but I did show you the few things that I do have, and they all have that same type of fragrance, which I don't mind, and I actually don't find the fragrance of this foundation to be too heavy, nor do I smell it after applying it. And even to the point where I actually forgot to mention it earlier while I was applying this foundation. I have though heard that other people do not like the scent of this, and they do find that the fragrance is a little bit overwhelming, but that is not the case for me, which is odd because I'm usually very sensitive to highly fragranced products. I also did forget to show you guys a close-up of this foundation. I really think that everything about this is gorgeous. I love the frosted glass bottle, so it is a little bit weighty, just really, really nice. It's got a pump. Every day I've worn it, I've been happy, except for when I initially apply it. It took me about 3 times to finally remember that although it does not look all that flattering on my dry areas when I initially apply this foundation, once I'm done with all my makeup, it looks so beautiful on the skin. So the first 2 times I was freaking out a little, and I thought, I mean, especially the first time, like, no way is this foundation going to work on me if now it's looking this dry on my skin. How in the world is this going to work out? And some way, somehow it did. It does, and I am ecstatic with this foundation. Now, moving on to, what did we do next? Okay, let's talk about the NARS product. So the actual blush, I think it's beautiful. I mean, it's still on my skin. It still looks almost as vibrant as when I first applied it. I don't detect that any of the pigments actually wore off, which is very important, especially with blushes, because that's usually one of the first things that does wear off quickly. So I will say that this is pretty long lasting. It applies very beautifully, and I'm really happy again with the color freedom that I ended up selecting. So happy with that. Guys, I'm happy with everything I got, because the next thing I use that was new today is this Dior Quint. Hello, look at these eyes. I love them. These are so my colors. I do think though that in the future when I use this Quint, I mean, I wouldn't mind using it alone like I did today. I'm happy with the eye look, but I think incorporating some deeper brown shades or perhaps even a black to really make some of these shades stand out will look so beautiful. So really happy with the formula, and every single shade in here was really, really beautiful. Just outstanding. The last new products that I used today are these lip products from NARS. The Air Matte Lip Colors. So I did swatch both of these shades for you, but we ended up using the shade Shag today. Shortly after I filmed, I went upstairs and had a late lunch, and this pretty much immediately just disappeared. So this is not long lasting if you are going to be having a full-on meal. So just know that I did not go ahead and reapply. I just didn't really find it necessary. I was just doing other things around the house. So I honestly didn't really think too much about my lipstick after that, but I still do like them, and I do feel like these are more on the reliable side when it comes to the longevity. Like I said, it will wear off after you eat, but you can easily reapply these, and they were very, very comfortable to wear. So I'm looking forward to using these some more. And that's it. I guess that's all the new makeup that I wanted to share for today's video, but I do have many, many new products that I'm excited to also show off. And yeah, just share my opinions on some new makeup that's coming to us this year. So I hope you guys have a wonderful 2021, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I hope you found it informative. If you did, please make sure to give me a thumbs up. It really does help out my channel a lot. And if you have not yet, do not forget to subscribe so you do not miss out on any of my future videos. Thank you guys so much for spending some time with me today. Until next time.